It's time to fix the mess I made 4 weeks ago in the only way I know how, through risky nautical puns and health and safety lectures. That's right, Chacho's about to become a horny devil. Hey up you lot, welcome back to Planet Coaster, welcome back to Beachy Point, and just in case you can't tell by my voice, in my timeline, Hyperia opened yesterday, and it's also closed today, so that's the thing you gotta deal with, but my god, what a coaster that is. You guys are in for an absolute treat when it reopens. Actually, it's probably going to be reopened by the time this episode goes out, because I do these a couple of weeks in advance. Anyway, it's worth the 5-hour queue, that's all I'm gonna say, worth every penny. Well done Thorpe, what an addition. But anyway, we are back in our Blackpool-inspired park, as if Blackpool have a Mack and all that, and this is the mess that we are dealing with. This is the mess that we have created that I need to solve. We do have a coaster this week. We've got the Averted Impulse coming in here. We are, in this episode, going to finally talk about the clearance in this bit. I know some of you have spotted it and they're just like, Chacho, we need an explanation, please. So we're going to talk about that. But this is the coaster we're going to be focusing on. It didn't win the vote, but actually it came quite close, so I think it's time to put it in. We have also got this bit to deal with. I want to put a restaurant or something in here. I need to put some shops and stuff underneath the pier. I need to do this bit all on here. I need to sort of find out what I'm going to be doing with all of this decoration, and I also want to talk about this hyper station in a bit, but I need some stuff to show you before we can do any of that, so I will see you in a minute. Do you know what, you guys? For the last 4 weeks or so, I've really had a bit of an ag about all of this area. Like, I didn't know how it was going to come together. I didn't know what personality it was going to have. I didn't really know how it was going to look. So it was sort of like unfinished, and it was like, yeah, okay, I'm working on bits, but I can't really say that for much longer because it actually is starting to come together quite nicely, and it is starting to get personality. So yeah, there's lots to show you in this one, but we are just going to go ahead and talk about the elephant in the room, because this has been spotted by a number of you, and a lot of you are like, Chacho, this isn't realistic, stop it. Actually, I think you'll find it is. There's enough clearance here for both trains to pass simultaneously, and in fact, Planko scale makes this a little bit of a weird one, but there is actually more clearance here than some of the supports on Hyperia, so chill out. But I also do just want to address this idea of there being a net here. They wouldn't put a net here. There would be all sorts of risk assessments and stuff in place, and as we know, risk assessments are all about impact versus probability, and this whole idea of having a net here would mean that the risk of the net malfunctioning is actually a higher risk, higher probability, higher impact than impact and probability with the train. I don't know if I'm explaining this very well, but you wouldn't have a net here, they would just run it. And you can also nowadays use AI to link the two coasters together, so this one here and this one here, and that then would prevent the trains from being dispatched at a time when they would meet at this point. So you can lower the risk of impact and stuff here by having this AI link between the two, so that these trains would never actually meet in this spot. So it's doable, and of course the park would have actually made the effort and the conscious decision to put this in this way. I mean, you don't really have much other possibility, should I say, of putting stuff in here. So just chill out, you guys. It is what it is. You've got enough clearance, and I know that some of you are going to fight me to the death. I have chosen this hill, and I'm going to die on it. So here's the station. Quite like this station. I've literally just taken inspiration from Wicked Twister. I'm not doing much more with this one. I want it to be a pointy station. The coaster itself at the moment is called Devil, because it obviously looks like devil horns, so it's going to be red, and I've just used the yellow, but I've kind of faded it a little bit. It would have been here for quite some time by now. Inside the station, I haven't done much detailing yet, but I have put in the support mechanism that you would have inside the station, so that's all there. And I've just started the idea of the maintenance, so I'm using the shed from the Woodie here, and I've got the concrete bit in here, and I need to put the concrete and stuff throughout the entire station. But yeah, this is kind of how this is feeling. I wanted it to be separated from the hyper, so that this is like a bit of a service area, and then of course you've got the fence and stuff there. So that just needs some final detailing and whatever, and we will be done with it. I have also started to get an idea for what path cover I want here, so I'm kind of going for a little bit of a sandy vibe. Remember, not themed, stylized, So we're going for a bit of a sandy colour here, and I've just put in some of the extra bits. And, this is new, so I've put in a flower bed here. This bit in the middle, I really wanted this to be some kind of like restaurant or pub or bar or something in the middle, so that's what I'm going for here. I wanted the idea, I'm not going to do a boat. I know it looks a little bit inspired by the one that I did in Chippity Point. It's not going to be a boat or anything, but I did want this idea of wood panelling and stuff. And Southend On Sea, their fish and chip shop on the side of the park, looks really awesome. It's like this ultra modern style, this vibe got going on. So I just wanted to put the idea of these waves along the outside. It's going to have a flat roof, and it's all going to be cool. So yeah, all this wood and this modern stuff going on. And then inside here, just a real loose pirate inverted commas theme, because remember, we're not theming, but it's going to have wood and stuff down here, so maybe it does feel like a boat actually after all. And then of course the rest of the area is now starting to come together. So I've moved the balloon ride. That felt like it actually needed to sit up against the restaurant, and then the whirly rig is now in place, so the queue line and stuff is in. Just around the outside here, I've done a bit of tweaking, so you'll see that the games unit that was here is now sitting over here, and I've also introduced the idea of the trampolines and stuff. It felt like this was a little bit too claustrophobic, particularly when you start putting the supports and stuff in. You really didn't have much space to get guests through. Like, it was literally just going to be this space here, so it felt like it needed to be opened up a little bit. That's exactly what I've done. So a bit of path cover and stuff coming down, and this is going to feel like it's much more open than it is. So the scissor has now got a bit of a personality going on. I wanted it to have a cover. I don't want the cover to be any more elegant than this, because it is just well, we call them a waltzer, or we used to call them a waltzer, but the scissor ride, it's just a scissor ride at the end of the day. But I didn't want to use the pad that comes in game. I actually wanted to play with the pad a little bit, so that's why we've got a little bit of garden and stuff going on in here. I am saying that there would only be one exit, and that's here, so everybody would come out this way and then come out this way, but you do have an extra exit just in case you wanted to, you know, an emergency or whatever. You can bring stuff down here. And I'm also saying that this would only have one entrance. Now I know in game this isn't going to work because they will come around this side. Just squint, pretend it's not doing it. Let's just say that this is the only way you'll be able to go in, so you've only got one entrance, one exit. And actually, yeah, I think this kind of makes sense. And I said, when the path cover comes down, it's going to open up the area a lot more, so it's going to feel much better. So, coming over this way, we do also have quite a lot of change coming on here. So, I am taking some inspiration from Ice Blast or PlayStation or whatever you want to call it. Mandy will tell us what to call it, I'm sure. I've just put some flower beds and stuff down here just because I wanted a bit of a personality. I'm doing a little bit of a double fence thing here, right? So, I've got this, like, the green fence for the interior of the ride, and then I've got an actual decorative fence on the outside, and then I do just have your usual queue line fencing and stuff coming along this way. And I love the shape of this ride. I know it's a difficult pad to work with because it's an octagon. It's an octagon, isn't it? I haven't just made that up. Yeah, it's 8 octagon. It's octagonal. But it actually means you can do some pretty decent, like, queues with it. Like, this is exactly what a park would do. Right angles, and it's been at the Thought Park. You just see how many right angles and weird angles you have. There's no swooping queues and stuff. Everything is right angles and 45-degree angles, and it's great. I love it. So this is kind of what I'm going for here. I have just put an emergency bit here, just in case they did need to have an emergency, or maybe this was the old exit back in the day. I don't know. It could have been reconfigured and stuff, but the fence still exists. So what I've then done on the outside here, I've just started to copy across the idea of the pebbles and the bushes and stuff that we used in the previous episode. Just because it felt like that's how the park would line this off, and then just some flowers, flower beds and stuff in here just to bring this area to life. I can't put anything else in here really, because I've got to remember that this S&S Free Fly is relatively new as well, so whatever would have been here probably would have been a ride or whatever is no longer here, so they would have just had this open space that they couldn't do anything with. So that's kind of what I'm going for. And then underneath the pier, it now starts to have a bit of a life. So we've got an arcade going on. It's going to be called Play Zone. I've just started to put all of the arcade stuff down. The pool tables, by the way, they were done for Fundy Fun Spot, and I've just dragged across all of the other arcade machines and stuff, so it's starting to get personality. We have Cha-Cha toilets, surprise toilets. Well, not surprise toilets, these have been in since episode 1. But we've got the toilets in here. This is like the main Central Park toilets. So there you go, you've got the toilets in here. And then I've just started to bring to life all of the other bits underneath here, and I wanted it to be like almost like beach hut style going on. So it's called base camp, and we've got food and drink either side, and then I'm just using like the whole stripy wood just to give it a bit of a beach hut kind of vibe, and then of course you've just got an invitation to go underneath the pier to the rest of the park. So there you go. I mean, it's looking all right, isn't it, so far? Can't wait to show you when it's done. So I better get on with it. See you in a mo. Oh, you guys, they say that landscaping is 90% of the work you're going to do, and they are not wrong, because look at this. It has finally come together. All of the path covers and stuff have gone down, and it just looks complete. Like, it's done. Oh, I can rest happily now, because this has been bugging me for 4 or so weeks, as I said in the last update, and it's now looking like a complete area. What I do actually love about this area is the fact that it now has a personality. You can almost see how it was before the big Mack was put in. So with all of the pathway and stuff here, you can almost see just the configuration of this area prior to this going in. And likewise, that now that the Devil Coaster is in, this area here would have been part of the Plaza area, and it just looks like it's been obviously cut off. And then if you have a look at the shops and stuff that are this side, where you've got base camp and whatever, you can almost see how this would have been before they just decided to plaster it all over and call it done with a blue wall. So yeah, I quite like how the Mack has now actually created a little bit of history inside the park, and it is just looking like it's just been shoved there and thrown through the center of stuff. I particularly am digging this island here, by the way, just because it feels like it's just the central bit where they just made all of the cluster mess of all of the track and stuff inside here, because that's just the thing that they do. And by the way, I forgot to mention in here, you guys will probably have already commented about it, the one thing you do have to consider here is aerodynamic wind and aerodynamic collision. So you do have to be aware of the wind that the trains are going to cause, and the fact that if you have a collision of wind. So that's why I was talking about the AI thing anyway, where you can prevent it from launching at the same time. So I forgot to mention that in the last update. So that's the one consideration that you might have as part of your risk assessment. So anyway, let's have a look at the whole build then. So this is the station for Devil. I quite like it. I don't sound enthused, do I? I actually really like it. I've kept it low detail in here. I wanted that to be a thing, but I have taken some cues from the other Boomerang that we've got, right? So we've got all the usual warning signs and stuff down along the station. You've got the pens that the staff would stand in to stop them from walking out into the launching train, all of the usual stuff. I didn't put the higher gates on here because this is probably, I think they're intimate, aren't they? So they would have a different station configuration to Vekoma, but it's all good, right? You probably could get away with it, but there's no way of doing it in game, so you know, there's no point wasting time over it. But I'm happy with the actual station design itself. You know, it fits in quite nicely. And we come over to the pub. I quite like how this is. One thing I love about working in the nautical industry is all of the double entendres and all of the puns and stuff that you get. It's filth, it really is. And this is just the perfect addition to that. And the whole wooden slats and the waves on the side here, I love it, right? So I don't mind the fact that it's clipping, because we can't do phased colours very well. So I'm okay with it clipping because it gives it a bit of personality. But this whole idea of the woods panelling and whatever, now it's got all of its posters and the stuff in the windows and whatever, it actually does give you sort of like pub vibes. And what I have noticed is at the top here, it actually is boat shaped. So maybe in the past, in some capacity, there was an extension to the building here, and it was a boat, or it was like a mirror image and it came back this way. And look, I don't know, it's not there anymore, but ultimately it's there, right? And on the inside then, we do have just some real light level touches in here. I don't want this to be any more than this is in here, right? It doesn't need high theming. It doesn't need high kitting out and decorating and stuff. It's just supposed to represent a pub. So we've just put the bins and benches down as you'd normally find. And it's got low level lighting. I have put some extra lighting and stuff in. I'll show you that at some point. But yeah, so I quite like it. And then over this side, I have just put the rest of the pebbles and stuff down. I've given it a little bit of overgrowth just to make it, seem as if it's been here a little while, but still relatively new. And then all the flower beds and stuff have now been done. I've just put the trees and whatever in here. So if we come into the Chateau toilets, there we go, Chateau toilets. They're kitted out as you would find them normally. So there's all of your sinks, there's all your cubicles. Your hand dryers are on the back wall here. There you go, there are your hand dryers. And it's just kitted out as you would normally find it, right? So it's all good. I love it. And then the other toilet is the same. There you go, there's the other toilet as you would expect it. Apparently I'm becoming famous for my toilets. Of all the things that you guys could think that is good on the channel, the toilets are the thing. And then all I've done on the outside here is I've just given it its like facial features, if you like. I don't remember if the sign, I know the neon was in, I don't remember if the actual signs were in, but I've just cluttered it out with a bit of artwork and whatever. I've given it a lean to, put the text and stuff up, and yeah, I like it. I like it. Likewise with base camp here, and then base camp here. I've just done some touching up with this bit, just like with the beams and whatever, added in the doors for access, that usual stuff. And now that these bits are done with the path covers and whatever, I actually quite like it. It doesn't feel as imposing as it did before. It actually feels like it's it's a decent thing. And now that this is all done, this just feels so different to how it did. Like, it's just got its own little personality that it's just developed. This is quite a nice little plaza area to stand in. This looks like it could be, it's probably been rethemed over the years, right? It could have been rethemed as a street scene. It could have been anything really. But at the moment it's just beach huts, and I really like it. So the arcade then, play zone, this is looking really good. Like, it's just an arcade, right? So it's nothing particularly special when you look at it. It's just a room full of machines. But the true pièce de la résistance on this one, it comes when you actually look at it at night, because you've got this yellow light here and they don't throw light in the game. So what I've done is I've just put the yellow lights underneath, couple it with the white lights that you've got from the spotlights, so you've now got like light throw going on. The sign is throwing the blue onto the ground, and then this one is throwing the white onto the ground, and there you have it, right? So it looks pretty decent. I've also done this elsewhere, by the way, so I'm doing that here with this sign, just forcing the throw. I've got it elsewhere all along here, and then of course this is how the other one, the other side looks. What I didn't show you, by the way, is that our Boomerang has got a light package. I just completely forgot to show you. So there you go. There's the Boomerang light package. Looks pretty decent, if I do say so myself. So the actual Roto Tower then, that's now also done too. I didn't want this to be a flowered affair. I wanted this to be more of a trees and foliage kind of thing. So that's what I've done. Lots of greenery around this one. And then just the signs and stuff. And then the path cover just brings it all to life and just makes it all a thing. So then we come over to this side. So the whirly rig, it's all got its fine details and whatever that's been done. I don't want this to be overgrown because it's quite close to the sea. It probably wouldn't be too overgrown, so it's stayed as mud. But over here by the scissor, I have actually put in the flowers and stuff. So just to confirm, yes, the guests do walk through it because that's the nature of the paths, but in terms of aesthetics and how it looks, I'm happy. I'm happy with how this is. And then coming over this way, this is now what the food unit looks like. So the outpost, you will probably have spotted, this was the case in the last update, but I've removed the other two units that were here because, as I said, I needed the space. We've got a viewing platform here, but you could quite easily put bins and benches and stuff in here if that's what you wanted to do. And then I've just tidied up this area around here just to give it, its final bit of life and its final bit of touching up and work and stuff. So this is how it's looking. The park is by no means done. We still have, I think, 3 episodes left. There's 2 coasters coming in this space over here, which is why all of this isn't finished. And then of course we've got the touch-up episode where I need to do stuff like the shops in the front here, the new fencing, and all the usual maintenance-y type stuff. And then of course there's the tour. So you've probably got about 4 episodes left, I think. So guys, for now, thank you so much for getting to the end of this episode. I really do appreciate you coming along for the ride. Thank you so much for your likes. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Let's go for a ride on Devil, shall we? And if I remember, I might also put an updated version POV of the Hyper in. Let's do that too. 2 rides. See you next week.